Welcome to Aiken This Week. I'm Glenn Parker. Joining us today are Master Public Safety Officer Chad Cathcart, who's going to be talking with us a little bit about the intersections and the one-way streets in downtown Aiken. And then we also have Linda Hunley and Sally Jenkins, who are going to be talking to us about our Character First program. It sounds like an odd combination, but I think what we're going for is when the folks are downtown looking at the character banners and reading them and studying those, we don't want them to get run over, and we don't want them to be walking in the wrong place. So, Chad, let's start with you a little bit. And I know we have a lot of folks who visit our community. We have folks who've been here for a long time, and they still struggle with the intersections. So tell us how the downtown intersections are supposed to work.
Okay. Well, they can be rather confusing because everybody always says circles and squares, circles and squares. Well, the fact is, the simple rule to it is, circles you can go and squares you can't go. You have to stop. Huh. So when you're approaching an intersection and you're wondering, we have 5 or 6 intersections that are circles, and they're all in the downtown area somewhere. And generally you can look to see if they have a fountain or a statue, or probably the one that everyone's more familiar with would be Lawrence and Richmond, where we put the Christmas tree up every year. That would be a circle. Now, when you're approaching one of these intersections in a circle, you go through the green light. You're going to make a left-hand turn. Well, when you go around a circle, you suddenly face with a red light, and that's where people get confused. Can they go or can they not go? Well, since it's a circle, they can go. The stipulation is you have to yield right of way to the traffic on the other side. That's the other one-way street going the opposite direction. As long as you can safely go across that lane, then you can keep going. But if it's a square, you have to stop. Anytime you see a red light, you must stop for it. Now, going back to the circles, if you go through the intersection and you get there, you see somebody just stopped, don't honk your horn at them. Be a little patient with them. They might not understand what's going on. They might be nervous. They might be scared. They just don't know what to do. And you honking your horn at them is not really going to help the situation any at all.
It's going to make them take off without looking or something.
It may cause an accident, or that's going to make them just sit there and they're going to get even more scared. Sure. Be patient, be courteous. And if you just don't know what to do, just stop and wait. It's okay to be safe. There's nothing wrong with being safe at all.
Wait on the green light.
Wait on the green light.
Sure. Now, if a person's walking downtown to see the banners or just visiting downtown, and they come to an intersection, I'm assuming the car has to yield to the pedestrian in the walkway, but how does that work? Who do they need to be looking for, and where do they need to be looking?
Well, whether you're downtown Aiken, Charleston, Atlanta, it doesn't really matter. Put your head on a swivel. Know what's going on around you. Don't get so fixated on where you're going that you're not aware of what's going on around you. When you're in the crosswalk, yes, you may have right of way, but the car may not see you, or they might not be paying attention, and they may hit you. So, be aware of what's going on around you. I mean, just because you're right, it doesn't mean you want to get hurt just to prove a point. And plus, it's just a general safety thing. I mean, you look around, know who's walking up behind you. You might just avoid somebody attacking you.
Correct.
So, and that could be, whether it's here, really anywhere. Just know what's going on around you.
Okay. Now we have, at our crosswalks downtown, we have lights. We have some other than just downtown too. Are those crosswalk lights sequenced with the traffic lights?
They are. They are sequenced with the traffic lights. All of our lights in Aiken are in conjunction with one another. They are sequenced. As of right now, when you have to go up there, they're not automatic. You have to hit the button to activate the crosswalk, and it's not going to just pop up automatic. It's going to rotate into the cycle, and you have to wait. Now, it's going to give you, when it's time for you to walk, it's going to give you what they call the walking man. You have 7 seconds with the walking man. That's a state standard. That's where they always stay. Now, after that, it starts giving you the flashing little light. You have 14 seconds there. So you have a total of 21 seconds to get across the road. And we have some pretty wide roads here, so you got to move out to get across. I've talked to them about this, and they're actually going to change that. They're going to change it from the flashing 14 seconds. They're going to change it to 24 seconds to try to give people extra time. But when you do that, then it's going to be, they have to incorporate that into the traffic lights, because they have to have it timed down to the second, or it'll throw off the whole sequencing process, and all the lights will go into a default mode of standalone, so none of them will be sequenced. Okay. So it's a project that it's going to take a little bit of time to set up.
And you and I had talked about part of the reason for our wide downtown roads goes way back to the original design and making room for the buggies to get through town.
That's right. Aiken was the second railroad town in the world. We're about a year behind Somerville, and it was designed by railroad engineers in 1835. And these roads were designed to be extra wide to accommodate the larger carriages of the time. That's why we have extra wide intersections and all that, and that's what it goes into.
Now, not that public safety would do this on every occasion, but I'm sure if someone was to run one of those red lights at a square intersection, or if they cross when the red light is at a crosswalk, there's a fine for that.
There is a fine for that. If you run a red light, if you crossing without a crosswalk, anything like that, you're looking at around a $155 fine. It can get a little hefty, so please use the crosswalks.
Yes, absolutely. We also have our one-way streets. Working downtown, you and I both do, probably once a week or so, you see a car going the wrong way and you have to flag it down and turn them around.
Yeah.
How do the one-way streets work? Is that a problem for public safety?
It's more of a problem for people coming out of town. They're here visiting because of our extra wide streets. I mean, half of our street is, one half of our street is probably wider than an entire street you'd find in Charleston. So most people, they see that much space, they're thinking this is going to be two ways. And in Aiken, it's not, because we are laid out to be much larger. So, it's just more of a people not either paying attention, not watching what's going around them. One of the problems that I've seen, one of the recurring explanations I've heard is that they're following the GPS. The GPS is a great tool, but it's just a tool. And it does not substitute you actually looking out the window and driving the car. So pay attention to what's going on around you. If you happen to make the wrong turn, that's okay. The GPS will recalculate another route for you and get you right back where you need to be.
Good. Well, thank you. That's great information. I had heard one time, one way to look at the one-way streets is look at how the cars are parked.
That's
you
right.
Park in the direction you're traveling, so usually.
Yeah, if you turn onto a street and you suddenly see a lot of headlights coming at you, there's a good chance you're going the wrong way.
Sure.
So, and if you're driving and you see headlights coming at you, you might want to make sure you're not in the wrong, but get out of their way. We don't want a head-on collision.
Exactly. No, we don't. Well, ladies, let's shift over and talk a little bit about the Character First program. I know you two ladies are passionate about it. I would be remiss, and you're probably going to talk on this, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Judy Cross also, who's the behind the scenes legs behind this whole thing, I think. And she's not with us today. She doesn't want to be on the camera, but we just want to mention her and thank her for what she's done.
A real hero since 2006.
She has been.
Yes.
She really has been.
And a foot soldier for raising the money and for just championing the banners in a million different ways.
Yes, she has.
Soldier on the ground.
Take us back and give us some of the history of the Character First program here in Aiken.
Aiken's Character First program found its home in Aiken, the best place it could be, in my opinion, for the last 16 years. And its success is due to the time and energy and imagination of a lot of different people. Initially, we have to mention Mayor Fred Kavanaugh, because Mayor Kavanaugh went to Baltimore, saw a presentation, and had the imagination to say that would fit in Aiken, and brought it back to us. And because of his initiative, Aiken was the first city in South Carolina to be designated as a city of character. And it has grown, and the Character First program has been used for employee training. It's been used in Aiken County schools. The Women's Club of Aiken have been another champion, and of which, of course, Judy is part of. And they have this celebration of character every year, where over 3,000 stellar students of character in Aiken County have been celebrated in the last 16 years. So that's been a great part. In 1999, the first banners were hung downtown, and lots of people helped make that happen, including the Women's Club, but also public safety. You know, Eddie George and his brave, courageous crew went out there and hung those banners.
There had never been a banner project that encompassed the historic downtown. So the public safety really had to work out a lot of logistics for that first edition of banners.
And the best designer I know, most brilliant, designed those banners. And Linda is the best person to talk about the design process for those banners.
Well, as an Aikenite, I cared so much about the design being true to our really beautifully natural landscapes downtown and to our non-commercial tone. I've always just really appreciated that, having grown up in Aiken, and I wanted to be sure that the design worked for that. The job of the banners, though, was to introduce the Character First program to the community. And how in the world do you introduce an idea like character with graphic design? It's a bigger challenge than it sounds like. I can't tell you how many images I went through, how many times I photographed the beautiful children in the Morgan Fountain. I looked everywhere for the right image, but in the end, I realized there was nothing as beautiful as those great big words. And the words really told the story of what Mayor Kavanaugh and the leadership committees were trying to accomplish. And so what I ended up doing was handwriting these words. I wanted to also make sure that the banners felt personal, that they didn't look commercial and drive-by fast kind of banners. I really wanted for them to have a personal, on-the-sidewalk connection, but be luminous and inviting to people at far distances. And so what I realized was that the traits could become a sentence in their own, and here is how it read: character, sincerity, respect, self-control, responsibility, attentiveness, loyalty, courage, citizenship, truthfulness, patience, compassion, forgiveness comes first in Aiken. It was the best way I knew to communicate this new idea. And the banners have lasted for 16 years, with one revision in 2006 when I refined the handwritten calligraphy and then added a logo with the beautiful children in the Morgan Fountain.
Okay.
They've lasted a long, long time.
But now recently you've updated the banners. What happened to the old banners?
Well, it's easiest to show you what happened. Here's an artifact. We had the idea of having the Voc Rehab Training Center repurpose the old banners, and I came up with a pattern which used every little scrap of these wonderful old banners. Oops, sorry. And we sold these as a fundraiser. They were actually given as gifts to anyone who donated $100 or more, and they went very quickly. That experience was wonderful because we worked with Angela McGee out at the Voc Rehab Center, whose energy and enthusiasm was just a wonderful thing to experience with the trainees, and really made the production part of that project very, very successful.
And the proceeds from those pillows help fund the new banners.
The new banners. Now, tell us about the new banners. I think there's some new traits, and people may not realize there's hundreds of options for traits, and you guys have to narrow that down to which ones you're going to pick, I think. So tell us about the new banners and the new traits.
The new traits grew from the old traits.
Yes, indeed. Well, in 2012, Maggie Sachs basically had this idea that maybe we should tie the banners to the seasonal changes in Aiken. And her brilliant daughter, Katie, came up with as an urban planner, came up with where they could go. But then there was the issue of what are the traits going to be? In what ways are they going to be exactly the ones of the past? In what ways are they going to be updated? Think about trying to represent the breadth of human character in 12 traits. It's a very
stunning.
difficult, but oh my gosh, fascinating. You didn't want redundancy. You wanted words that were any fifth grader could, so we chose honesty instead of integrity, not because either one is less good than the other, better than the other, but just because they were approachable, and tried to represent those 12 let them represent human character as best it could. And it's very natural which ones presented themselves for certain seasons. Gratitude has to be in the fall because we have Aiken's first table and we have Thanksgiving. But then what comes naturally with that, when you're grateful, you want to be kind, so kindness is there. And then in addition to gratitude and kindness, you're watching these squirrels store up for the winter and you're inspired to be responsible and go do a good fiscal budget for the new fiscal year. So they were just, every seasons are, they inspire each other, and they're chosen together as a unit for very intentional reasons.
They seem to grow out of the season. The seasons really suggested these traits.
And Linda's beautiful Aiken images.
Well, may I? we during this process, we definitely fell in love with Aiken all over again. That seemed to be a spirited message to add to the other images and to the wonderful traits. Here's one of gratitude. That so goes with fall and Thanksgiving and the one table and all of the grateful things that we have in Aiken.
Turn around.
And this is
Wait.
This is the key banner. They're all color coordinated, but they work together. And by having different designs within one intersection, we're able to have a variety and never repeat the same message over and over again, but have a sort of a concert of color, seasonal spirit, and then these very special traits for each season. We feel very good about the vibrance that it's given to the downtown historic district and the ever-changing way the seasons are.
And you use that image, the leaf, for fall, and then what else?
These are special Aiken images. In the winter, we have the wonderful longleaf pine that is Aikenites. We all love the longleaf pines. And then in the spring, we have beautiful wisteria, which I think that the message there is bloom in Aiken. And then in the summertime, we have a rendering of the fountain in Hopeland's Gardens, and it invites people to chill in Aiken during the hot summer months. The blue does a good job of that. But it's so exciting to us to see the way the spirit of the seasons really energizes these character traits.
And it's always an inviting thing when you go to downtown Aiken, or maybe if you're just driving through or out at the ball fields, you see, it feels good, you feel it, and then in 3 months, it's not stale because you have a whole new set of banners going up, thanks to public safety getting out there.
Well, I was going to say, it's not just downtown. Tell us where
isn't.
the other banners are located.
Well, this year, when we went to this wonderful Sunbrella fabric, we were able to produce another set of banners for the Parks and Recreation and Tourism Department. They have those at the various campuses throughout the city. And we probably need a photograph of one of those to share with all of you. When the banners were expanded back in 2006, we were able to try some of the older repaired banners out at some of the parks facilities, and it's amazing how wonderful those words feel when you're out on the ball field, when you're playing games with your friends. These traits really work well wherever they are.
Yeah, I know it was interesting for me because when people would come into town for tournaments and they would see the banners at the ball fields, they would ask some of our staff, what's the character banners all about? And so we had to educate some of the PRT staff about the banners and their purpose so they could relay that message to people. It's a great thing that we've moved it out. Tell us a little bit, why do you believe the Character First program is important to downtown, but on a broader sense, why is it an important program for Aiken?
These traits bring out the best in all of us. In the workplace, in the classroom, on the playing fields. These traits are the things that help people live together, bring out the best in each other, and really live up to our human potential. And it's another interesting thing about these traits is that they do engender each other. All of these traits work together. And in the chaos of every day, we need to take hold of these traits and remember how empowering they can be for our world, for our wonderful little city of Aiken and wherever we are.
And she talks about them working together, like the spring traits of wonder, creativity, and respect. Just think about that. When you see that first bloom in Hitchcock Woods, it's wonder. And it inspires you to be creative. And when you are creative, of course it engenders respect. And so they all kind of, I wonder at respect. It's very connected and very responsive to each other. And I think when you see that, when you're downtown or at the ball field or in the school, wherever they are, you see those traits and it just lifts you. It inspires you to be the best you can be and to look for that in other humans.
That's well said. Well said. This program is still evolving. It's not
hopefully.
Sure. It's not completed just because we have new banners for 5 or 6 years and you're going to come back to it. What's the ongoing day-to-day work of this program and what needs to happen for this to continue to evolve?
Well, Judy Cross informs me that we need another $5,000 to produce the Bloom in Aiken banners. And she's getting closer to that goal. But that's the last season that we need to complete for the citywide installation. And hopefully we'll reach that goal before the beginning of April.
Okay. Now, in your wildest hopes and dreams, I guess, what's the potential of this program?
Unlimited, but
yes, and always inviting participation from the community about where the next ideas go, and the images and the stories. We're really counting on the community to offer up their experiences.
just last week, I'm a teacher at LBC Middle School, and just last week we put up the fall banners in the school. So Linda has labeled this a beta site for character in Aiken County, and it has been a wonderful beginning of us imagining how do you integrate these particular character traits, not like an add-on character program, but how do you embed them in the curriculum? How do you ask children to write intentionally in ways that will help them make these character traits not just be an abstraction, but a way of life. And in writing, in art, in story, you see them, you emulate them, you celebrate them, and how can we do that at younger and younger ages and still let this same aesthetic tone that Linda's beautiful images have created make us live to that music too.
Sally has described to me how important and impactful these traits are in a student's success. There's something called emotional quotient. What is the name of it? It's a kind of a level of achievement potential, which comes from a student's character, their confidence, their deep-hearted understanding of their role in the world, and it really starts in the early years. And we would love to see this program become a bigger part of education. Not just, as you say, an add-on, but really integrated into a student's studies in all ways.
You know, when you find the best research, it matches up with common sense. And if you think about when you look at, I happen to teach, 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
Award-winning educator here.
Oh, yeah.
Finds the channel in every
you,
student she has in a classroom.
When you have 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, if you were to predict who's going to be successful by whatever good measure you have, it is going to be the students who have the most character. It's not going to be any other thing. And yes, we want to give them the academic skills, and we try every day to do so. But we have found that our new mantra at LBC is leadership built on character. And we think that will be what makes everyone, we know every child's a leader and can be a better leader, and that character is going to help bring it out.
Sally is the kind of educator too that guides children into finding their best character.
As every good educator does. Yes.
You mentioned the mayor briefly earlier, and he was the spearhead of all this, and he's going to be on a show in an upcoming few weeks, and we'll talk to him about this a little bit. But one thing, if you guys would just talk a little bit about, the city, and I think they still do it, but they have the character programs once a month with the employees who come out, and they're educated on character traits once a month. And I think that's been very impactful on some of those folks who may not have had a teacher such as Sally, or didn't hear that message coming up, and now they're hearing it in the workforce and how it applies to just how they treat customers out on the day-to-day basis.
So impactful. It just gives our city so much more potential to have city staff and city employees and have teachers who believe and understand the importance of character in everyday life.
I think the mayor's been very intentional about that, focusing on certain traits and trying to find ways to celebrate them and engender them. I think he certainly showed them how they apply to the work they do every day.
Right. So one other to Fred for bringing
so
this.
Grateful.
Oh yes.
One of the other little dreams we have is that we have people who grow up in Aiken and go out and do great things in the larger world. Mm-hmm. And we want people to know that character is a universal language. And so we think it would be kind of cool to have a banner that celebrated character, say, take gratitude. And you had gratitude in languages that were of people with whom Aiken has a special relationship. So we teach French and German and Spanish in our schools. We have a relationship with our sister city in Italy. Mm-hmm. And borrow those languages and put gratitude maybe up in those languages and inspire our students to know that wherever they go in the world to do their good work, that we're with them.
Yeah. That's interesting you mentioned that. I go to Nicaragua once a year, and some of the character traits that we take for granted and we don't even think about never crosses those folks' mind over there. So just sharing that word and teaching those folks would be
knowing
a great
languages, a connection.
Yes,
wonderful.
Absolutely. Chad, is there anything else you want to add for us? We're going to have a lot of people downtown walking and looking at banners now.
and there is something I wanted to point out. I had a really grateful experience with public safety when we designated the light poles, the appropriate light poles throughout the historic downtown. We looked carefully, and I learned so much about where the banners needed to be for safety. And we have mapped it. There is a wonderful downtown map which was taken from Maggie Sachs' daughter's study, which shows the exact location of the banners. And I tell you, we owe a lot to public safety for installing these and helping us with making our town full of spirit and character all the time. We're grateful to you guys.
Well, thank y'all for coming on the show and enlightening us with this morning. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. Let me just remind everyone, if there's a topic that you would like to hear about on Aiken this week, or if you have a question or something, shoot us an email to aikenthisweek@cityofaikenSC.gov. Have a great week.